Want to know how you can gain access to capital to jumpstart your journey to entrepreneurial success? For entrepreneurs who are just starting out or those who have been in business for years, Minority Business Access is your podcast. Welcome to our show, where we will guide you in avoiding the pitfalls and thriving in your chosen business. Now, onto the show with your host, Solomon Ali.
Jeff, I won't really do I would not worry about that. Okay. But I'm so excited and thrilled that you're on MBA. Business Access. We're really excited to have you. So what I want you to do is go ahead and tell my audience. Sure. So my name is Jeff Hoffman. I am a tech entrepreneur. I've been building tech companies, internet companies, part of a lot of companies like Priceline.com, which is booking.com as well, ubid.com. So that's the space I've been in. I have been doing a lot. I'm so excited to be here with you because I've been doing a lot to support underserved communities. For example, I did the keynote at the Black Business Expo in Houston, Texas. That's about 15,000 Black business owners. I did the Black Tech Week in Miami. I did the Bronner Brothers hair show in Atlanta. I've been trying to help communities that get less attention. And so minority business is everything we can do to create more, to encourage more people, and to help them build their businesses is important. And it's a mission I've taken. So I was so excited to get a chance to talk to you. So that's what I'm spending my time on now. How do we help other people improve their lives and lives of people around them? And one of the ways to do that is to turn an idea into a profitable business. It enables you to take care of a community and a lot of other things.
Yes. So what would be some advice that you would give to minorities and business?
So the first piece always starts with education, right? And education is not equally accessible around this country, but in a lot of cases, right, it's economically based, et cetera. But that's an excuse, right? I'm tough on people. I work with a lot of ex-cons now, and I'm tough on them, right? If you want to write, these are good people that made bad decisions. They're not bad people. They were in tough situations, and they made one decision they thought they could. Now they want to turn their life around. So we're tough on them. And the education, if you can't get it, find it. We live in an internet age where you can teach, you can take courses on Coursera, you can study TED Talks. So the first step is get educated. Anywhere, anytime, all the time, and continue to learn. That's the first piece of advice we give them. The second piece is about building your network. And you build your network before you need it, right? I'm an engineer. I'm not a finance guy. There's a million things. The list of things I don't know how to do is way longer than the list of stuff I do. But what you got to do is surround yourself with people smarter than you. So we teach them the value of networking and how to reach out to people that are smarter than you everywhere and build that network around you. Then the third step is, now you've got some education, you've got resources, people to go around you. Now you've got to solve a real problem in the world, right? Economic prosperity, independence, freedom comes from solving a problem that is valuable to somebody in the world. Really quickly, my first startup when I was 20-something, you used to have to wait in line to check in at an airport at the ticket counter, and my first product was those kiosks you check in at an airport. So I solved a real problem. Every airport wanted a kiosk. People didn't want to wait in line, and that enabled me to obtain economic freedom because I solved somebody's problem. So that's the third thing we share.
Now, that being said, when starting a business and running a business, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially minorities, are undercapitalized. What do you suggest?
So that is a two-sided problem. You are absolutely right. And a big part of that is reaching out to the other end. It's people that do things like you do, right? You give back so much and help so many people. We need more of the people, once they make it, to turn around, reach back, grab the hand of somebody that needs the help and pull them forward. So first of all, we need more business angels, right? And I actually like the fact that they use the term angels because sometimes they are. We need more successful people that came out of the situation that are minority role models to help. They need to reach back. They need to help. That's the first step. So business angel networks are really important. And we go into communities like Ferguson, we went to Baltimore, wherever there was trouble. We went into a lot of these communities. I do this with Ray Lewis, sometimes Jim Brown. But we've gone into these communities to try to fire up the community. Then we ask the corporations, right, and the companies to step up. People need to help their own. These are your people. These are the people, the entrepreneurs in your community. Help them start a business. So that's one end. And then the other end, part of the reason that they have trouble getting funding is they haven't been given the training on how to pitch this stuff. I sit through these pitches. right? And we did one recently here in LA. We called it Black Tech Day, and we had all these minority entrepreneurs pitch businesses. And I thought, has anybody ever taught you guys how to present your idea and how to pitch? They said no. I said, well, if we could get you more training on how to pitch an idea and how to write an investor deck, how to do all that stuff, your odds would go up of getting funding. So there's a bunch of things we need to do at once that will increase minority funding for business.
Oh, that is so amazing. So amazing. The work that you're doing is just totally awesome, especially in the minority community. Now, if a new entrepreneur in the minority community is starting to be male, what would you suggest other than reading a book, other than building their network? What else would you suggest?
Well, one of the important things is a mentor, finding mentorship. And by the way, that's the other thing that people like you and I need to do. We need to encourage more people in every community to be mentors in their own community. A lot of people say, well, I've never built a business. How can I be a mentor? How about because you're an HR executive at a big company and you know everything about HR and this entrepreneur doesn't know anything about hiring people? Almost everybody has some value that they can provide as a mentor. They just don't think of themselves as mentors. So what you and I have to do is tell them, your knowledge is valuable to this community. You need to mentor. So what I tell these people is you got to find a mentor. And mentors aren't going to ring your doorbell. You got to reach out. The way I found my first mentor, I showed up at a social event on a Saturday. He was going to, I bought a ticket. And he's like, what are you doing here? I said, just checking it out. And we met at a social event because I couldn't get an appointment in his office. So I found out he was going to this thing on Saturday. I just bought a ticket and showed up, wandered over and met the guy. Go out and find a mentor. Find somebody that can help you. And if you're on the other side of the question, find a way to be a mentor. It's really important to have someone to turn to.
I agree. One of the things I remember is when I started my first business, I was going to get $1 million loan. And I had to call the guy every day for 6 months. And I would call him and call him. And like, look, we have nothing different to tell you. I said, okay, I'm just going to let you know I'm still here. After the 6 months, he said, you know what? I'm going to do this loan for you. No problem. Because anyone who calls me he's going to pay me back.
Persistence is so important, right? For them to see that in you, and that's good advice to give these startups is you got to persist.
You know, I have found that the world is very challenging. It's up and down. So when you're in that low spot, and business is not going well, and everyone around you is telling you to ignore it, building something else, what would you say to someone?
That is the reason you've got to find your tribe. Because when all those moments are going wrong and everything feels like it's going down, first of all of us have been through failure. Nothing ever goes perfect. Life is messy. That's sort of God's plan, right? Everything went perfect. It'd be a pretty boring life here, right? If we didn't have stuff to deal with. And you have to believe you're never given more than you can handle, right? There's that belief as well. You're being tested for reasons so that you come out stronger. But I think a lot of times what helps is, what I mean by finding your tribe is someone's been through this, and someone came through the other side, and you got to find that person that can give you an honest assessment. One of the things I just said on the stage here at this event is we tend to get our advice from proximity and not relevance, meaning your buddies, your spouse, your mom is telling you it's a bad idea. In fact, they're not qualified to say that. So if I was a young entrepreneur and everything seemed to be going bad and I got a chance to talk to Solomon, and you said, you know what, it's fixable, here's what you need to do, I would believe in it. Excuse me, because I would have connected with someone who's been there, who's done that, and whose advice, by the same token, if you said to me, Jeff, I'm not seeing it, maybe you should spend your life's energy on something else, I would take that advice. So find those people, find the tribe, find the people that have been there, done that, whose advice can really help you make that decision. And if those people tell you keep going, then keep fighting.
Okay, sounds really good. Jeff, for my audience, how do they reach out to you?
So it's just Jeff at jeffhoffman.com. I made it easy. And my website, you'll be surprised, it's called jeffhoffman.com. So they can find me there. The social media I'm on the most is LinkedIn. I'm on there every day. The other social media I don't get to as much, but either LinkedIn or just Jeff at jeffhoffman.com. I actually, like you, love connecting with people because in the end, the next great idea is going to come from some place we never thought of. Sometimes people think because they have a low status in society that they're less important or less intelligent than others. Intelligence is equally distributed across the whole planet. Opportunity's not. And that's the problem you're fixing, right? There are brilliant people. I got to tell you a quick funny story. I was dealing with a former drug dealer, and he got out and he was trying to turn his life around. And he wanted to start a tech company. And he knew he made mistakes. He didn't want to make them again. So I was teaching him how to run a business. And I said, let's talk about cash flow. He said, I'm all over that. And I said, let's talk about building teams. He said, I know how to do that. Right? And I said, let's talk about marketing. He said, already got that. And I said, you know who makes a really good entrepreneur? Unfortunately, or fortunately, drug dealers. Because he already knew how to do all this stuff. He had a skill set. What he needed was someone to believe in him and someone to tell him, right, that he didn't have to go back to the old way. And we have to change the friends around him, but he's doing amazing. Wow. So we've got to be out there, people like you and I, we've got to be out there pushing them. And we've got to be out there encouraging them and finding the kind of people that can make a difference, because they can. Any one person. This is a guy that society wrote off because he was in federal prison. And in fact, this is a guy I think is going to might be one of the world changers now that some people have.
Oh, that is amazing. That is totally amazing. And last, could you tell us about your greatest success?
Really good question, but yeah, I can. Because I think my greatest moment, you know that saying that the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why, right? Mine probably has nothing to do with business. I was blessed enough that several of the companies I was part of became multi-billion-dollar companies. It's none of that, right? And being part of IPOs, all that. It's nothing to do with any of that, right? We're even blessed enough that we won a Grammy in the music business, and none of those things came anywhere close to the first time somebody encountered me. By the way, this was a probably 40-year-old black man that was down on his luck. The world had dealt him every bad hand you ever could, and he had every reason to give up, and everybody wrote him off from society, and I spent a couple of days with him. And years later, I was at a conference, and I'm a very well-dressed gentleman like you, very refined, came up and started talking, and then all of a sudden he said, you don't remember me, do you? I said, we met. He said, it was 4 years ago. And I said, I don't actually remember the event. And he said, I was on the street, I was down and out, I was thinking of committing suicide. He said, you spent a couple of days with me, and it literally turned my life around. He said, you lit the spark that caused me to believe again. He said, now I own a business, I have employees, my kids are in college, I have a home now. And he said, if you didn't spend that time with me, I wouldn't be standing here today. That was like the coolest moment of my life, to find out that we can actually change somebody else's life by sharing your time.
You know, that reminds me, a lot of people ask me that same question.
Sure.
They think I'm going to talk about, we're number 5, yep, corner in the technology market and smartphones. So we'll go something one day said, I know someone, and to see them make it.
Yes.
I said,
it's
the greatest
amazing feeling. It is. The reason we do this.
It's not this, it's really not. It's just open something.
We are doing a project. I'm inviting you. I want you to come see it. We are doing a project now in Watts, and I'm working with the former leaders of the Bloods and the Crips. These are the guys that are now fathers, husbands, and they have children. And they're the ones that negotiated the famous truce, gang truce, back in the 90s between the Bloods and the Crips. They're now older and they have families. They want to make Watts, restore it to in Compton, to a family neighborhood that's safe again. They don't want their own kids shot on the streets. So we've been tearing up Watts and rebuilding it, and working with these former gang members and showing how a community can reinvent itself. Every time I go there, I feel like my chest is going to burst, because the pride of what they're doing this themselves. I would like to invite you to come visit, because you will be blown away by people that society wrote off are rebuilding their community to make it family friendly, and it's working.
Well,
Project's incredible.
I'm here, and I would like to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having us on here. Really appreciate it.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Minority Business Access Podcast. Connect with us at solomonrcali.info to leave a review and access more resources. We hope you enjoyed this show and found great value. See you at the next episode.